life, it's important to have a trusted ally to help you protect what is most precious. Your loved ones, your health, your peace of mind. You want a strong partner who will always be there for you and will help you through life's challenges. Pacific Cross wants to help ease the burden that comes from worrying about life's uncertainties. We want to be here for you, offering our expertise and experience in insurance and healthcare to help you protect what is most important to you. We know you worry about how you'll manage if you or a loved one gets sick, or what you'll do if something goes wrong while you travel. Pacific Cross is here to do the worrying for you, so you can focus on other things that matter, your recovery, your journey, the life you want to enjoy with family and friends. Understanding our clients' needs and providing responsive products have always been at the core of Pacific Cross. We know that good health and the security of your loved ones are some of the most important things in your life. Pacific Cross can help you achieve the peace of mind that comes from knowing that you have the right people on your side in the event of a crisis. This is the Pacific Cross promise and purpose. With our medical, travel, healthcare, and personal accident insurance plans, you have coverage you can count on when you need it the most. With over 75 years in the business, Pacific Cross has grown to be one of the leading insurance providers in the market today. Our various accolades are a testament to our unwavering commitment to become worthy of the trust of our clients, partners, and stakeholders. In a rapidly changing world, we keep our customers top of mind so we can continue to offer value-for-money products that help our clients feel prepared and protected. With Pacific Cross, you have a trusted ally and a reliable partner that will be with you whenever and wherever life takes you. Pacific Cross is always here for you.
Know that generational trauma is impacting your health. Do you want to know how to heal from that? And do you want to learn today from a hypnotherapist who helped me and my mom? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, welcome to the Cancer Conversations with Coach Wanda. Every week I go live. I have this podcast interviewing healthcare expert, coaches, companies in the business of preventing, detecting, curing, and supporting cancer patients and their families. Today is a very special episode because I have my coach and mommy's coach. There's a lot of story about her, but I think there's so much information that I learned from her. Number one, when my mom got cancer, there's so much fear around, am I gonna get it too? How about my children? But I think the most important part of having sickness is the ability to find out the reasons and the ability to understand that, wait, I have a part to help heal mom, to help heal myself. And that brought me to this episode today. Before I introduce Vida, I think I want to tell a little story. I mean, when I first knew that she's a certified public accountant like me, I was like, wait, somebody is also like me who became accountant and then a coach and then a healer. And I think what makes this very special is we want to share whatever I've learned throughout the last few weeks in terms of cellular healing and a generational healing that mom and I went through is something so transformative that I want to share with people. And today we're gonna welcome you to our episode. It's about how to break generational trauma impacting your health. Now, let me introduce Vida, but before that, if you don't know me yet, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Wandalyn Tan Calupig. For over 4 years now, after 100 plus episodes, I've been recognized on LinkedIn as #1 most influential Filipina on LinkedIn, top 15 LinkedIn expert in Dubai, and it's podcasting that brought me here. So continuing this journey of sharing life-saving insights is what I intend to do. So let me introduce Vida, my guest for today, on our topic, how to break generational trauma impacting your health. with hypnotherapy. Vida is a certified public accountant for 25 plus years, turned holistic therapist, healer, and coach. Now she specializes in helping individuals heal from deep emotional wounds using a blend of modalities including hypnotherapy, family constellation therapy, theta healing, and angelic reading. Focusing primarily on professionals feeling trapped by unresolved trauma, Vida creates deeply transformative experiences that restores joy and self-worth. With her analytical background in finance, she identifies the root cause of emotional patterns, empowering clients to break free and embrace life with newfound freedom and inner peace. If you're ready to heal from the wounds of abandonment and past trauma and whatever you're going through today, this is a must-watch for you. Vida helped me in so many ways unimaginable, and I hope she can help you today. So Vida, thank you for saying yes to this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Wanda. It's really a pleasure to be here.
It's an honor to have you, but I think it will be interesting for people to know, from being a certified public accountant for 25 plus years, what brought you to coaching and holistic healing and hypnotherapy?
Are you gonna make me cry today?
Every
No,
emotion is available. It's a safe space.
I'm still healing, but I've healed a lot of my woundings. 5 years ago, I have experienced a breakup in a relationship, and that had affected me tremendously. And I started going for hypnotherapy. That was my first therapy. So I started actually doing this therapy for other people 2 years ago, but initially it was just only for myself, for self-healing. And being a CPA, a finance person, we do budgets and forecasts, and we manage our spending, right? So I said, going to a hypnotherapist, it's not really covered by insurance. So let me learn all the modalities so that I can help myself. So initially my motivation, apart from heartbreak, is to cut on the cost on the therapy, which is actually quite a common issue nowadays. Yeah, like a lot of people would like to receive therapy, but they're not able to afford the cost. So anyway, so when I started, the first question I asked the therapist was, why is this thing happening to me? And then, so the thing is, why is it that people I love leave me? And why is it that, when I drop people off to the airport, I see people go, it hits me tremendously. Like, I would cry, and that really impacts me negatively, regardless if the person is close to me or not. And then I found out from that first therapy session that I had an incident when I was 5 years old, and my father actually, like you, like us, we came here abroad to look for better opportunities. And that's when I found out that I was experiencing abandonment trauma. Yeah, and I was also following my father's footsteps because, like me, he also went to another country to start working for the family. And then the journey started there, and from hypnotherapy, I learned other modalities. I did family constellations therapy, which is a systemic medicine. I also do it for business constellations. We can talk more about that later on. I did energy healing, not just one modality. I became like a spiritual shopper. I became a therapy modality shopper. I was not shopping for clothes or cars or bags. I was shopping for different therapeutic modalities to learn, just to find answers for myself.
I love that, I can relate so much because 10 years ago, I used to be stressed and sickly, and so my children too. Mm-hmm. And I think when you are in that space where you just want to heal and want to find the answers to those questions, right? I remember asking myself, how can I heal naturally without medicine? How can I help my children? I became, I'll say, you're a spiritual shopper. I became a shopper of personal development trainings, which led me to coaching and training and to many things. But I think when you do have a pain and then you solve it and then you became so happy that you want to help others, right? Which actually brings me to the next question. Because before meeting you, I never knew myself. I had abandonment issues. Because I know my dad died when I was 9. That was clear. I mean, it's a fact. It happened. But I didn't know that it affected me on another level. And so it affected mom too on a very big level. Now, if you can, I mean, you know both mom and I's experience about it. But I think maybe you can shed some more light in terms of how is generational trauma really impacting our health?
Before moving to the generational trauma, we look at our own trauma, right?
Sure.
So I believe from my own experience and all the learnings that I have gained from all this shopping, I realized that the experiences that we go through, they did not start with us. In fact, there's this beautiful book by Wandalyn, and the title of the book is It Did Not Start With Us, and how inherited trauma actually affects our lives. And so when I look at you, and I'm so honored to meet you, I look at you and I look at your mom and father behind you. So we are all members of a system. So whether you're talking about family system, whether you're talking in an organization level, because I also do systemic medicine relating to organizations. So every member of a system belongs. And regardless if they are here, if they passed on or not. And a lot of times, early deaths actually affect the little ones. So when something happens to you when you're an adult, you know, when clients come to me, even friends or even strangers, I don't know, I do have that energy that people just start opening up with me and start crying, in fact. And then when they divulge their stories, or even if it's just casual story, you know, I actually get a sense of what they're going through and where it had started. It's probably a gift, yeah. And thanks to our auditing skills, thanks to our analytical skills being finance people, you know, like when somebody tells us something, we already know somehow the backstory of it, yeah. And so you mentioned about your story of when you were 5 years old. Were you 5?
9 years.
9 years old, yeah. So what happens when a child goes through a traumatic incident? By the way, let's define some terms. Simple terms, okay? So there are traumatic events, and there's what you call the trauma, yeah? So what are traumatic events? Like, we've just gone through a global traumatic event, yeah? And which was the pandemic back in 2019. It started 2019, and it had impacted a lot of lives, yeah?
Sure.
And so that was a traumatic event for everyone. A lot of people went through experiences of anxiety, you know, they get triggered with all their traumas of abandonment. A lot of people were isolated. A lot of people lost lives, you know, and they were not able to go back home because the airports were closed. And on an individual level, so what is trauma then? Yeah, the trauma is what happens to the person. So, and trauma is actually different from every person. Yeah, so let's take that pandemic that happened, yeah? So some people experience anxiety, and some people were triggered with their abandonment and isolation. So it's actually different. And when a trauma happens in the body, it affects the physical body, it affects the emotional body, and the mental body as well. So based on the techniques, based on the hypnotherapy principles that I have learned, we are not just physical bodies. Yeah, our physical body is made of matter and energy, and we do have subtle bodies as well. Then depending on the principle or school of thoughts that you come from, there's the emotional body, there's the energetic body, or the aura that they call. The aura is actually the first subtle body around our physical body, and we don't see it. Then there's a mental body as well. So when a person goes through this traumatic incident, and depending on how they are perceiving the situation, the emotions, they develop this, they experience the emotions or feelings. Okay, what is an emotion and what is a feeling? Excuse me for defining some terms here. I'm still coming from this.
We want to define it for you.
Yeah, so emotion is just, for example, sadness, happiness, that's emotion. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a grammatical thing only, yeah? So feeling is like, what is happening to you in the body. So I felt isolated, you know, I felt fear also during the pandemic. So that was my feeling at that time. Now, if I didn't have any practices to manage my emotions, to manage those feelings, then it becomes chronic, right?
Yeah.
Because how long did the pandemic
happen
to us? So for quite some time, right? And so there's this meditation, journaling, being able to have Zoom sessions or calls with your loved ones. That actually helps a lot. That is managing emotions. Now, what happens when a person is isolated, for example, right? Yeah, they're able to talk to other people, but still physically they're confined, right? Because we were not able to leave our homes. So some people may have experience also, they may develop belief systems.
Sure. So we'll go to that belief system later. No, we can't talk the whole day. Actually, we can talk the whole day. Yes, it's our challenge.
Thank you so much.
So, but I think, you know what I learned through my experience is that when you're having a sickness, the sickness is the last portion because it's your physical body reacting. Because something happened to you mentally and emotionally. That's why it's causing it. I mean, even last week, I was telling you, right, I'm having this heart pain. I mean, I had every check, the doctor check, and it's all okay. But I think there was, again, that fear of, mom's condition is triggering my heart, or the fear of being abandoned again, like what happened to my dad. And I think, as you're explaining the pandemic situation, I remembered I was triggered so much. During the pandemic, my best friend died in 21 days. I mean, she just cannot breathe. She was brought to the hospital. And that was a wake-up call for me. Like, I was crying nonstop for 3 days. And how do I get out of it? And I think that brings me to the next question. I mean, I do know from my situation that when the moment I'm feeling something in my body, whether, it's pain in any part of my body, or there's an emotion that I cannot even explain why I'm sad for no reason, or what are the other things that you have seen so far? How whatever happens to us, which is experiences a trauma, is impacting us both mentally, physically. How do you?
Well, earlier I was explaining to you that we do have subtle bodies, right? So a lot of times when people feel physical illnesses, discomfort, actually what they say in science is that it's actually an emotional disease or emotional discomfort. Yeah. And when the emotional become like chronic stress, and you're not able to find any ways to manage that stress, we have the elements in our body, we have the chemical compositions in our body, and not all those chemical compositions are actually positive or good for our bodies, right? And we are familiar with those. There's oxytocin, there's those different hormones, and so when a person is going through a stressful situation, those elements, those chemicals, which are quite harmful, actually become imbalanced, and they go haywire, and it affects the physical body. So it's not only, before an emotions, so let's say those people are having the physical illnesses, it's because it's actually a solution for their emotional discomfort. So rather than focusing on the emotional discomfort, what happens is that, their body finds a way for them to feel relief, but the body the body is like a mechanism to tell us, hey, there's something wrong with me. Now, it developed into heaviness in the heart. And then, so when I remember a few days back when we had that session and you were telling me about that you had to go to see a doctor because of heaviness in the heart. I was just actually waiting for you to open up, and because in the work that I do now as a therapist and a coach, a healer, I don't necessarily divulge information, and it depends on the readiness of people. And we can heal any type of trauma. But the first thing is that the person needs to have an openness and the willingness to feel better. And that's the reason why we're having this podcast, and I'm so grateful because I'd like to actually to give a lot of awareness and education to a lot of people. Like whenever you are triggered, like simple things, at work, coming here, somebody cut you in the line when you are driving, and then you start saying like some bad words, and it's okay, for momentarily that you are in that situation. Your sympathetic nervous system goes up, but then if you're not able to regulate your nervous system, your emotions, you actually, you get stuck on that, Then maybe that lingers on when you go home and then you are still in that bad mood, Then it means that you can ask yourself, don't shoot the messenger, the person who triggered you, because it's not the problem, So you can start asking your questions. What is this situation? What is this person, this beautiful person in front of me, who is a spark of God? who is also a child of God, what is he telling me about myself? Yeah, maybe there's some unresolved trauma there. Maybe there's some unresolved wounding that needs to come out. So in the line of work that I do now, in my personal journey through healing, I realized that it's very important to change your perspective. Yeah.
Sure.
So when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Definitely.
So I always try to find the good things in every situation. Yeah. And going for therapy and healing and coaching, actually, it may not change the situation of what's happening to you, because there are things that we cannot control. But how we respond to those situations is what we get from therapy, coaching, from friends who are able to hold space for you and then give you advice.
Wow, those are gold nuggets of wisdom. You know what I learned, Vita, is that you are always a mirror, right? If you're upset with this person, when I learned that principle, the problem you see in others is the problem you have within, I start to become careful of, okay, I'm upset with this person. What do I have similarity with this person that upsets me? I think when you have that thought of, wait, this life is a mirror, whatever I see is a problem I see in me, you stop judging and you start to accept more of what's happening. And I think a lot of people, as we said earlier, they don't have access to coaches, to hypnotherapists, etc. But I think one of the best gifts, for me, specifically even for mom, is that we get to have access both to doctors and different kind of coaches for holistic healing, right? Now, maybe you can explain more. Sometimes, people think that if you're into hypnotherapy, you'll be under a spell. Before, right? I studied something about neuro-linguistic programming, which is all about how the mind works.
Yeah.
Now, hypnotherapy is another kind of submodality, and a lot of people think, oh my God, you're working with a hypnotherapist, you're under hypnosis, you're under the spell. It's like, no, it's not like that. I think maybe you can explain a bit further, how is hypnotherapy helping a person, right, manage, be it a simple stress, anxiety, or even chronic illness or cancer for that matter.
Yeah. So let's try to understand first what is hypnotherapy. It's not the whole thing. Although we can also use some symbols or some tools in order to put a person in a hypnotic state. By the way, when you are hypnotized, we are always hypnotized, by the way.
By
social media, when we're driving, when we're watching TVs, when most of the time. Now I'm hypnotized with your voice. What is hypnotherapy? Hypnotherapy is using hypnosis. It's just actually, so hypnotherapy is a behavioral change tool approach.
Okay.
And it targets the subconscious mind. So, now this is very interesting because I love talking about it. Yeah? So, because I do love to learn about the theory of the mind, how the brain works, and so we do have a conscious, so let's make it simple, yeah? So there's a conscious part of the mind and there's a subconscious mind, yeah? You see it in all companies, organizations, they have this, picture of an iceberg, right? The one that's on the top, on the surface, is called the conscious mind. That's basically, when we're analyzing, we're thinking, we're making decisions. Now I'm very conscious that I'm in front of you and we're having this beautiful discussion. So that's our conscious mind, yeah? Now, what happens on the subconscious mind? So when you started asking me about how did I start hypnotherapy, actually I was like looking back, yeah? I was in trance. Yeah, I was hypnotized. So hypnotherapy is just basically putting you in a trance state. Means that you are not here in the present.
You're in another moment.
When you are not in the present moment, you are hypnotized, yeah. Yeah, because in order for us to find out, what needs to change, we need to go back in time. And subconscious mind doesn't know the past, the present, the future.
Sure.
In the subconscious mind, it's just all accepting. It's open. So what you feed your subconscious mind, it will just accept it. So what you see, you cannot unsee. So regardless if you are actually conscious or not, it doesn't matter. So that's why, there are sleep hypnosis at night, meditation that you tune into, because it changes your programming. So going back to the hypnosis, right? So the hypnotherapist, a trained hypnotherapist, an ethical hypnotherapist, it just makes you in a relaxed state, and that you are comfortable, you feel safe and secure. Because what happens in a hypnotherapy session is just we go back in time of that traumatic incident where you felt the trauma. But instead of those moments then, we actually put it in a setting where, hey, you are feeling safe and you are in full control of everything. In fact, you are awake. I cannot work on somebody who is asleep. Yeah,
Sure.
I may have this enticing voice, and a lot of people, my clients, they fall asleep, and I wake them up.
Actually, they said when you're sleeping in a healing session, that actually is working, right?
Yes. By the way, it's quite usual that clients can fall asleep during sessions because a part of them is not feeling safe, and there's a resistance to it. Yeah.
So the body
And-
reacts to feel
Yes, and because I'm quite ethical, I believe so. So actually, I take that opportunity to plant like positive suggestions. So hypnotherapy will actually access the subconscious mind to plant positive suggestions. Yeah. So the hypnotherapy that I have learned is actually an 𝐀𝐁𝐒𝐓 curriculum in India, and it's recognized also in a lot of different countries. And it's called an integrated clinical hypnotherapy. So we have learned NLP, we have learned organ regeneration, we have learned regression. So regression is actually in trance and going back in time. So how can you help people with the trauma? When you come to me and say, oh yeah, I feel this heaviness in my heartbeat, I cannot breathe, I need to go to see a doctor.
I need a doctor. Actually, I said the doctor. My body's talking to me. But what I learned, Vida, throughout this experiences now, initially, when people, I have studied about how the mind works, but when people talk about hypnotherapy, it's such a big word that there's so much fear about it. But having gone through it, I think my experience is only about accessing different parts of yourself that you don't know exist. Like for example, right now, a lot of times I do have these fears, but I always have to ask myself, is this fear about the future, or is it about the fear of what happened in the past, right? Because when I always bring myself to the present moment, it's like right now everything is perfect. I'm alive, I'm healthy, we're here together. But I think whenever I get scared, I'm gonna die or something's gonna happen, it's like, because somebody died in the past or somebody might die in the future. But if you look at it from this perspective of now, everybody have risk, right? And I think that is the power of hypnotherapy, because you go back and either flow to the past to heal whatever needs to be healed. Then you go back to the future and see whatever vision you want to see and bring it to your present moment. Now, I know there are many techniques in hypnotherapy. Maybe you can explain a bit of what you did for me to help me become, overcome whatever comes my way. I think maybe you can share a bit of what are the simple techniques if you don't have access to a hypnotherapist right now, because either you can't afford one, it's not covered by insurance. What are the simple ways for you to help yourself when it happens, like you feel that you really are not okay?
Okay, if you allow me, let me just finish the example. So when a client comes, they have presenting issue. Yeah, I listen to them because a lot of times people just need to be heard, to be seen, to be accepted, and to feel safe that it's okay for them to express their emotions. So trauma happens actually when you're not able to understand what's happening, right? And so that's why in the session, what we do, and this is something that you can do for yourself, so coming back to your question, the things that you may see as your problem right now, they're not the root cause. So you go for hypnotherapy or other modalities which targets the subconscious mind so that you can go deeper into it. I love digging. Being auditors in the past. And so we look at the root cause, So there's a technical term which is ISE. This is initial sensitizing event. Usually, this is the time where the child, the adult, actually experience trauma for the first time. For whatever issue that they come, so we go back to the root cause. So you can actually ask yourself, now, okay, I'm feeling this heaviness in my heart. I know that, okay, that is a symptom. And I know the root is actually coming from when you were a child. So when we did the session, it's very easy for you actually to go back in time because you are willing. And all the answers are within us.
Sure.
By the way, a lot of people think that when they go to the therapists, the healers, those people like me will take away their pain. Yes, through the techniques that I use, but a lot of times, I empower people to give them the awareness. I don't give them the awareness, but I help them find the awareness within themselves. So it's simple things as, okay, what is it? What are you getting reminded of? So firstly, ask, what is the emotion that you are experiencing at the time? Yeah, and then you mentioned that, this fear of being alone, being left, and just because I have the liberty and of knowing your background, a bit of it, so I know, and I already felt it in my body. When you start working with a lot of people,
You feel the energy.
you feel the energy, like you already have those assumptions in your mind, and like I see also the pictures in front of me, but I allow the person to speak up, yeah. And then what happened was we regress, right? So maybe regress is a big word. Actually, what you remembered was when you were 6 years old. Yeah, and so when things are happening to you at home, in your daily life, ask yourself. Firstly, let me give you a practical tip, yeah? Be aware of your emotions. Have you ever asked yourself, how am I?
Yeah.
When you wake up in the morning, during the day, I would advise you, ask yourself, yeah? Because a lot of people, they're so good in asking, how are you? How have you been, But do we actually look at ourselves and ask, how am I? Yeah. So how am I? How am I physically? Yeah. Don't look for pain because you will always find what you're looking for. So I look for the sensations. Yeah.
Okay.
So what sensations are my feeling in the body right now? For example, I just woke up. I didn't probably move at night. There's some sensation on this side of my body. So what am I feeling emotionally? Yeah. So this is actually a check-in, by the way. Huh?
Yeah.
That you do for yourself. It's a self-check-in. Okay. And then I'm quite feeling excited, because I have a podcast with Wanda, and it's gonna be my first time. And okay, so what are my thoughts? Yeah. So those 3 simple questions can actually help you to find out more about yourself. And why is this very important? Yeah. So if you didn't ask yourself, and for whatever reason you were fine and you went to the office, for example, because we used to go to the office, right? 25 years. And suddenly you felt angry and you started feeling like bad mood, and then you start saying, probably I didn't wake up at the right side of the bed, and you start cursing, and and so why is it important to know what are your emotions and what are the other people's emotions? Because probably you walked into the office and somebody actually was standing there and having a conversation about how they felt bad or upset about someone. Yeah, so some people were gossiping about their day, and then you went there, and because we have subtle bodies, so we leave energetic imprints. Yeah, so those are the things that we look at, when we ask ourselves these questions. And then just another thing as well. So if you want to go deeper, okay, so I'm feeling excited right now. Like for me, I know sometimes I have concern about, am I feeling excited or am I feeling nervous? Because for me, the physical sensation is the same. and knowing me, I would choose to go for the positive sensation.
That's good.
It's not about a toxic positivity, Wanda, but I do have a choice to claim that, no, I'm excited. Yeah, it's something new. Yeah, there's a little bit of nervousness, but it's more of excitement. But if a person goes through to the more depleting emotions like anger, I wouldn't say anger is bad. Yeah, it's actually a healthy emotion. But if you start hurting yourself and hurting others, it becomes a bad emotion.
True.
So you ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is there something in the past that hurt me? I would not advise this to everyone, by the way, because there are a lot of people, there are people who went through severe traumatic incident in their life and heavily traumatized them, like physical abuse, molestation, and victims of war. Yeah, we don't want to traumatize them. So that's why one of the tips that I'm going to tell you is that...
Before you give that tip, the only problem we have is that we can talk
Thank you so much.
Before you give those tips, Vita, I think, I just want to summarize here that what I learned through my experience, the quality of your life will always depend on the quality of the questions you ask yourself. And I mean, as a coach, I think the gift of us. I mean, when you become a coach, you have to learn what are the questions I need to ask to people, right? But I think because we're both auditors, we don't have to think about it. Automatically, you get to know the right questions to ask. But I think if you don't have access to a coach, a hypnotherapist, as you rightly said, why don't ask yourself first, what am I feeling now?
Yeah.
What is this feeling telling me? Because I think majority of the time, we try to rationalize, oh, this emotion is not good, I should be happy, I have all of these things. Or, there's so many things that our mind overtakes our emotions, but I learned how our emotions are a gift. And when we fail to recognize those emotions, that is when this comes, right?
Yeah.
But I think when you also let go of those negative emotions or whatever feelings you have, then you really feel living life with more ease, because the ease is gone, and then you felt more ease, joy, and flow. Now, before you share those tips, I think give me a few more example of clients that you had. I mean, from my personal experience, I have seen how mom is sleeping better now because we managed that part of her that's scared through hypnotherapy. I am feeling more relaxed now because I learned how my fears of dad's death in the future is, hurting my present now. I think can you give a few more examples of, I think it's not even just dad and mom, but the generations before us, because I know from one of the exercises we did, how some of the generations even before mom is impacting our family now. Can you share a bit of example from your clients how those generations that is passed on from one to another is impacting us physically, mentally, emotionally?
Well, all of my clients actually, we were able to trace those concerns that they have right now through their roots, to their ancestors. And just to let you know as well, so I only did not learn hypnotherapy, but I also learned family constellations therapy. It's actually a beautiful modality where it talks about, the issues that you're experiencing right now. It did not start with you. So one example is, there was this mother who came to me, and she wanted to learn anger management. And while I was progressing through her journey, she just casually told me that her son actually goes for therapy, and when I asked her more, actually the son is experiencing depression at that time. And then I said, okay, there's this, I don't identify people with a disease or illnesses, by the way, because that's very damaging. So you may actually hear me saying wrong grammar, because I say I feel, headache, this person experiencing cancer. They don't have cancer because that's temporary. Okay, this is only my personal view of positivity. So then I found out that I said, okay, can I see the boy? And the boy could not sleep, and he was taking already medicine so that he could sleep. The problem is that he couldn't sleep at night, and he sleeps during the day. And when I dug deeper, I found out that there are some stories or histories there from the mother. And it's not necessarily the same situation, Wanda. It's more something to do with what are the emotions that those people have felt. So for the boy, it was relating to sadness, because when I did a regression for the boy, with eyes open, we found out that when he was three months old, he was left by his mother to go to another country. And so there was a baby who was very angry. So I saw that, the anger of the
3-month-old baby.
Okay, actually came from the mother. But you will say, but you know what? He was left there, right? So it is his anger. Yes, he felt the anger. But that why of all possibility would he experience that? So there are things that are happening that we cannot see. So you can read about more of a genetic field, epigenetics. When we talk about, if you allow me, when we talk about generational trauma, it's very important to understand what is epigenetics. Because epigenetics is a study where it gives you a systematic scientific framework looking at how your environment actually affects the genes that are expressed So there are, for example, looking at it in a way that when there's a traumatic incident that happens, some genes, depending on what's happening then, some genes for survival, fear, will get activated.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there are some genes which are related to rest and repair and recovery, will probably quite, suppressed, right? And so these things, when they become chronic, it means like they get repeated and repeated, whatever the traumatic incident is, It could be a different event, but the same emotion is there, and it's called subsequent sensitizing event, yeah? So the things that are happening to us now that we're adults, it did not start now.
Yeah,
It started when we were children. And so there's always this inner child.
Yeah.
It's actually a concept in psychology as well, in therapy. There's this wounded inner child that is hurting, that's crying. So in case of that child who was left when he was 3 months old, there's an angry 3-month-old baby. So when that boy found out about it, and I made him quite easier for him to understand, how that 3-month-old baby who was left alone with nannies and with a very old grandmother, felt all throughout that the mother was away. And I will tell you that a lot of us actually go through this experience, this disconnection trauma, and we can grow actually with our loving parents. But a lot of times, especially from our generation, from my old generation, were people who were emotionally unavailable.
Yeah.
So our parents back then, they did not really know how it is to be there for the emotional needs of the children. A lot of the people going for therapy, it's because their emotions were suppressed. They didn't even know that, it's okay to cry.
Yeah, I think when we were when we were children, it's like, no, you should not cry, you should be strong, right? I mean, we were from childhood, trained to suppress our emotions, and that leads down to depression and anxiety because we don't even know how to express that. Now, Vida, I know we can talk the whole day, but if people... Now, there's so many things we unpack today in terms of, how those emotions that we have actually root from, even when we were a child or from our parent and parents, and how just a simple question to ask yourself of how are you now can help you heal. Now, Vida, if people want to get in touch with you, the world needs, I think, I'll say I've worked with many coaches myself, and being a coach, I think one of the gifts that I see in you is the ability to go really to the deep roots of the problem with your auditing skills and accounting skills. And I think the ancestral healing is something that's very powerful. So, Vida, maybe you can tell us what's the best way for people to get in touch with you.
I'm in LinkedIn and I'm in different social medias as well. They can check your profile and I will be there. I have a website which is www.iamvida.com, and I mentioned all my contact details there. You can call me, message me. As long as I'm not in the session, I will respond to you. And please, I offer a 30-minute. A lot of times that 30-minute one becomes 2 hours.
Oh my God.
Because you probably know me by now, I love sharing information. I feel that a lot of times, healing starts when we are aware. And so it should be for free, But at the same time, so you can catch up with me, you can message me, and I would love to do your family trauma questionnaire, so when we started, I've sent you that family trauma questionnaire.
Yeah.
It's not for me to dig deep into it, but it's a lot of times it's for the client to find out more about their family. What happened to mom? What happened to dad?
Yeah.
And I even asked them, please, journal. When you are answering these questions.
Yeah.
It's not for me because I can find out the solutions or the answers I'm looking for in another way, because I have different approaches to going deep. But it's for the client to have more awareness about the family, the lineage. So when you book a session with me, you'll find out a lot of things that happen to you in your family, in your ancestral. So Wanda, I know you mentioned about ancestral healing, because it's not only hypnotherapy that I practice hypnotherapy as an approach, but the principles that I apply are ancestral healing. The things that happened to you, it did not start with you. So I just want to let you know that, Even though this trauma, this whatever unfortunate incidents that happened to us, we can give them back to rightfully to where they belong. And it may not be our fault for experiencing such things, but it is our responsibility to get healed now.
Yes.
So that our future, call them descendants, right?
Yeah.
Our children, our grandchildren can have better lives, without having to go through the same situations that we have experienced.
I love that. Now let me close this episode. I think, yeah, we can talk the whole day, but watch out for our upcoming episodes with Vida. But I think what I love about here is how we discuss how generational trauma is impacting our health, how hypnotherapy and many modalities can help you heal now. And I think the message I want to give today is, you can heal yourself, and as you heal yourself, you can heal your parents, your friends, and the generations to come. I mean, if you ask me, why do I always go to this type of, I go through every doctor and every coach there is because, see, I want my children and my children's children to live life to the fullest. I don't want them to inherit these fears, doubts, and worries. I want them to be free, happy, and abundant. So, and for those of you who are watching us, thank you. Today, Vida is with me. We talk about so many things. I hope you get to learn a lot. Go to Vida's LinkedIn page and go to iamvida.com. She gives free consult, 30 minutes, which becomes 2 hours, which is scary. But I think, when you're ready to help yourself heal and help others, then the right people will come to you.
Yes.
And I hope we added value, and we thank you very much. And watch out to the next episode of Cancer Conversations with Coach Wanda. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wanda. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everyone. Thank you. Bless you.
In life, it's important to have a trusted ally to help you protect what is most precious. Your loved ones, your health, your peace of mind. You want a strong partner who will always be there for you and will help you through life's challenges. Pacific Cross wants to help ease the burden that comes from worrying about life's uncertainties. We want to be here for you, offering our expertise and experience in insurance and healthcare to help you protect what is most important to you. We know you worry about how you'll manage if you or a loved one gets sick, or what you'll do if something goes wrong while you travel. Pacific Cross is here to do the worrying for you, so you can focus on other things that matter, your recovery, your journey, the life you want to enjoy with family and friends. Understanding our clients' needs and providing responsive products have always been at the core of Pacific Cross. We know that good health and the security of your loved ones are some of the most important things in your life. Pacific Cross can help you achieve the peace of mind that comes from knowing that you have the right people on your side in the event of a crisis. This is the Pacific Cross promise and purpose. With our medical, travel, healthcare, and personal accident insurance plans, you have coverage you can count on when you need it the most. With over 75 years in the business, Pacific Cross has grown to be one of the leading insurance providers in the market today. Our various accolades are a testament to our unwavering commitment to become worthy of the trust of our clients, partners, and stakeholders. In a rapidly changing world, we keep our customers top of mind so we can continue to offer value-for-money products that help our clients feel prepared and protected. With Pacific Cross, you have a trusted ally and a reliable partner that will be with you whenever and wherever life takes you. Pacific Cross is always here for you.